So with that in mind, how to be a public speaker, how to really drive that effect. And I think it's important when you think about becoming a public speaker to know that speaking has a lot of different things. But like Warren Buffett says, the most important skill you could ever learn is to be able to speak in public. It's on everything: communication, sales, looking after your team. Being a keynote speaker or entertainer is important, but not everybody wants to be that. But certainly communication and the ability to step up and grow your brand is fantastic if you can do it like that. Not least the simple fact that if you can get on stage at any point, start talking about what you do in front of people, they'll get to know you, they'll get to like you, and they'll get to trust you instantly in a way that might have taken a whole load of emails or a load of expensive marketing materials. When they see you up there and convincing people about how effective you and your business are, people really want to gravitate towards you. And I think that's the thing that I want to share with you about how important it is to be able to be effective when it comes to doing all those kind of things. I think it really does matter. And it matters more now purely because of the fact that after lockdown, it's a Wild West. Many people have no idea how we move forward from this. I'm serious. In the way that you might not have a bricks and mortar business. You might be staying online. And that means that, okay, you're on keyboard and communicating using camera and so on, but you'll spend a lot more time talking to strangers that you'll never see in real life, face to face ever again. You've got to be good at speaking because that sales process has to be more effective, and people can't get the body language, can't see the room. All they can get is you sharing tips and ideas. Now, in the old world, it was kind of different. In the old world, there's lots of different speaking techniques. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on this because I've got a full training course for you. I'll be sharing lots of stuff in the future, but you've got to introduce yourself, the positioning you stand, all the things that you do, running surveys, making eye contact, visual cues, and all the things with the PowerPoint presentations, and also your tone of voice, and making sure that you get over any potential fear of public speaking. I will be doing a session on getting over a fear of public speaking, by the way, for many people who feel that that's a real challenge. But I want to share with you, as we're going through all this stuff, the new direction that you should be considering. And in fact, I'll give you a taster of what virtual speaking can look like. Right now, we're doing a virtual presentation. I'm talking to you. You can see me with all my grey glory talking to you about all the different things. But can you imagine what it would be like if it was an avatar version of you? Now, this hasn't disappeared. It needs a lot of technology still to work in it, and it's used by a lot of people. But take a look at a virtual conference that I was doing with Microsoft and Dell a couple of months ago as we take a deep dive into your Video Vault. Thank you so much. Now, in a moment, I'm going to be able to go through all my slides. As you've probably guessed by now, my name is Dave Crane. But before I do anything, normally what I do to warm up an audience is I get everyone to just clap. And that's going to seem really weird here because your avatars will clap. But let's do that. On the count of 3, everybody give yourselves a round of applause for being in this room and being here right now. Give yourselves a round of applause. Clap now. Go on, let's see how you do it. Everybody. That means clapping on the button. Very good indeed. See, we've got an atmosphere in cyberspace. This is brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, then you press the button to stop doing that now. Now, it's a real pleasure to be sharing stuff. As you can see on the screen, that's the real me. That's what I look like normally. Now, the avatar that I've created, you can stop clapping now, press the button again, and it stops clapping. And you can sit down. There we go. The avatar that I've created fulfills my wish of being a combination of Lara Croft and also doing gigs all around the world. So what I decided to do was dress my particular character in black, which meant I had the added advantage that you couldn't see how much weight I put on during the lockdown, and I do blame M&Ms and pizza for most of that. Alright, so you can stop clapping now. I should never have started. Everybody who's sitting tight and thinking it's all going to snap back to the way it was before is deluding themselves. You've been an amazing crowd, an amazing audience, and it's just been an honour to really share this classic moment with you. Thank you so much. My name's Dave Crane. You've been amazing, and I wish you all the very best for the future. So with that is me. That little thing there was me in a virtual studio, and I was driving it like playing a video game with my microphone on. I could turn my character around. That PowerPoint in front of me was a real PowerPoint, and my stuff was loaded into it, and I was using the normal keys and my mouse to navigate up and down, show videos, and talk to the audience. And that was a real audience. There's about 500 people in a virtual audience, all running about, all talking, all waving, sticking their hands up and doing stuff. Now, I think that that's a very advanced but also early stage at the same time of what we're going to be looking at with virtual reality and augmented reality. It's really important you embrace this stuff, by the way, because if you don't embrace it, the challenge that everybody's going to face, and it is going to be a big challenge, is how do you move forward in this? Because we're going to talk about Clubhouse in a few moments' time. I'm going to invite you along to my Clubhouse event where we run a click. That's going to be on Thursday evening, 8:30 UAE time, so it's going to be in the morning in the US. But the reason for doing that is we share a ton of stuff. Now, if you can think visually, the key to being able to think visually when you can present and you do keynotes and you converse with people and you do conferences is the direction where everything's going is going to be augmented reality and virtual reality and holograms and so on. So if you've got a visual sense of yourself and the ability to create stuff that people will see, then that is going to be it's going to be a taster that you could actually utilize in how things are going to be moving forward. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at what you can do on Zoom to be more effective. So if you're interested in being better on Zoom, then let's do that and look through what you need to do. So simply speaking, I do these kind of presentations on Zoom, keynotes, and do them to people all around the world. So when you've got a remote team and you've got, say, 1,000 people wondering how to get them all on the same page, well, I do presentations like this, literally using this equipment. And my team helped me to put it all together, and it's incredible on all sorts of subjects, usually about public speaking, about being able to be great at digital stagecraft, but often about new things that are coming through, tools and trends, and well-being is another one as well that you need to be able to understand. So let's go through some tips on Zooming and doing it more effectively. So first of all, do mute your mic. Mute your mic when you're not speaking. The reason for that is because otherwise background noises come along. And if you've ever experienced it, somebody with their child or with their dog or whatever making noise in the background, there's nothing wrong with the fact it shows that you are a real person at home and it's a beautiful thing that you've got a family, but sometimes it can be really distracting, especially if you then have to turn around and tell your family to keep the noise down like a baby and so on, which isn't fair for them because you're on the same space and try to do the best that you can. So it's a challenging time. I get that as well. Okay, number two, of course, as I mentioned, background noise. Be careful of what it is when you do turn on the mic, because people don't generally, if they can't hear you and you say, can you repeat it again? And then they can't hear you again, then that can be really annoying. Now, one of the things that I do with all my presentations is, as you can see here, we've got the subtitles coming up. I do that on Zoom as well, and there are ways of doing it which are very useful for you. So just Google putting subtitles on Zoom. It's already built into the system, and you can use this for other systems as well. It's very, very effective, and I love doing it. Okay, number three, limit the distractions around you. I know that's difficult because sometimes there are things, but you shouldn't really be doing your emails and watching Netflix while having a conversation with a team or with the boss. Okay, another thing, number four, is looking at the camera and not the screen. I'm looking at you right now. You can see me. Let me just turn me up so I'm a little bit bigger. Okay? Now that's because I've put the camera in front of me, but if I was to look at the screen, in many cases, if you're doing a Zoom call or Meet or Teams, you've got your actual people that you're talking to are down here. Now, if I look at them like that, it looks like I'm not paying attention to you. I'm looking into your eyes, but you can't see that, and so it looks like I'm distracted. I need to do this and look slightly away. So if you can coordinate them all together, then that's really cool. There's actually some software, which is a speaking platform, but what it does, it's got artificial intelligence, and it maps your face looking at the camera, and then when you look away, it maps your face still looking at the camera when you look away. It's really uncanny, but very effective because it makes the other person believe that you're always looking at them. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty much what you want people to think because it means that they've got your full attention and that you're not busy looking at, ordering your dinner or whatever else you could be doing instead. Number 5, prepare and queue documents and links that you want to share. Do them in advance. Do not start looking for them in the middle of a session. Sometimes you have to because they've just brought up a subject, but ideally make sure you've got folders with easy access, so it only takes you maximum 10-20 seconds to get access to that stuff. It's okay with a one-to-one generally, but people's patience is different when it's online. They just want things now. Number 6, stay focused on not texting or side conversations, of course. That goes without saying because it seems rude. And also use a gallery view to see all the participants, because if you just use a single screen, sometimes that's useful with Keynote, but you got a view of everybody and you can see everybody, and you sometimes need to, as a speaker, make sure that everyone's paying attention. Sometimes the body language or the eye movements gives away that somebody's lost interest. And as a speaker, you need to know that that is not the case. They are with you and are doing all the rest of the stuff with you. Okay, and last one, number 10. I'll just move myself down to here so you can see me properly. Sorry, number 8. You said not being able to count to here. Okay, use chat to ask questions or share resources. So whenever you can do, when you're doing a Zoom call or Meets or Teams, don't feel scared to use a chat function and share resources in there, because sometimes it means that you're not actually interrupting anybody else. If you've got a keynote speaker or a video that you're watching, you can get yourself queued up. Also, many platforms, when you're presenting in a sales situation, you might need to coordinate with your team separately. It can be done on most of the standard platforms, but you might want to use WhatsApp or Signal or Telegram just to have a back chat. So therefore, you've already got the conversations going on about what you should be doing next in case of strategy and so on. So I hope that's been useful for you. Lots of cool tips and techniques there as we move on to the next part of this, which is really about the things that you need to do to become a better speaker. Now, before we go into this, I want to share with you a couple of things which I think will be really useful. I'm going to take a big deep dive into why Clubhouse will be a really useful part of your education to become an effective speaker. I love your thoughts, your comments, and we're going out live, by the way, to YouTube, to Twitter, to LinkedIn, to Facebook, and to Twitch. We were going out to Periscope, but sadly, that's all gone. Bye. So if you've got thoughts and comments, feel free to share them. If you want to keep them private, then send them to me directly. And that's another thing I was going to say about the Zoom calls and all the rest of them. Generally, the chats do disappear when you close down the platform, unless you are registered and unless you do click on for you to retain them. So if you're sharing website details or you're sharing documents with people, make sure that you either take them on quickly or you actually just say, I'll email them as well, but have a look to it now. You can then keep a list, if you record it, of all the resources that people need and send them through to people. So now let's take a look at Clubhouse. Now, Clubhouse always leaves people divided when I talk about it, because some people are on it, some people aren't on it. It does seem very elitist because it's Apple only. I think because they wanted to make sure that when they set it up, they could control what happens when people go on. There are certain rules about broadcasting live on it. You can only broadcast your own room. You can record only your own room, not pop into somebody else's room and do stuff. And there's a challenge because obviously you haven't got access to all that material and you don't have the rights to all the people having conversations. But we will be doing some live stuff. If you haven't seen Clubhouse before, it's a really good app for being able to have conversations with people about lots of different subjects. I run a particular room. My room is how to set up your own US TV show. And that's because you've got streaming services in the US, which I can help you get onto. So when you create a TV show like this one that we're watching right now will be streaming. Okay, it will be streaming. I'll tell you where you can catch it and everything. If you're watching it now, you know exactly where you can catch it. If you don't know where you can catch it, then I will tell you soon. Oh yes, I'll leave it with details. The streaming services are really important because these are hijacking the networking systems, which, to be honest with you, the networking systems like your Foxes and MSNBCs and CNNs and all the different satellites and cables have been really lucky to get away with everything for such a long time. That's why because of a lockdown, they can't create new material. And you might have found with your favorite streaming service, you've watched everything. There's no new season coming because it can't make it because of the simple fact that people have been in lockdown that they can't get in the studio without coronavirus infecting somebody. So this is a great time to start your own TV show. It's a great time to go on Clubhouse and have a chat-only function where you're chatting. There's lots of different rooms with lots of big stars and people on lots of incredible subjects from, well, you name it. Somebody's got a room on it. And if not, you can start your own. If you want to connect with me, by the way, just find me, Dave Crane. That's what I look like from the side with one of those little things sticking, not a phone. This is a microphone. Well, it's actually a hand, but you know what I mean. So if you want to connect with me, then I am there, and I'd love to share with you a load of really cool stuff. Make sure you get into the room. We are 8:30 tomorrow. 8:30 tomorrow if you want to catch me on Clubhouse. Why is it useful to do Clubhouse? Well, I think it's because it's part of a new bouquet of stuff. There are other speaking platforms available. It's not just Apple for this, but I think we're rolling out for Android on Clubhouse soon as well. But the thing that's most fascinating about using these kind of apps and connecting with that is when you go onto Twitter and you get Spaces, and LinkedIn's creating its own voice-only activation, and also Facebook's doing it. The beauty of this is it's a combination of a podcast and a chat room. You jump into a room, somebody drives a conversation, but you can contribute to it, and you make friends with people. Now, right now is a great time to do this because I think that once we come out of lockdown, some people will always stay inside and won't want to go out to play for a little while, so their confidence gets back to normal. But in many cases, this is going to be a great way to connect with people. So you can practice meeting new people when you're not actually leaving your house to do it through Clubhouse, which is why it's taken off so much. And I think it's worth about $1 billion, apparently. That's what it's being floated as. I'm not buying it, but you might want to. So next up, we're going to look at some really cool stuff, which I think will blow you away because it's really cool and groovy. And we're going to be taking a look next at how you can get yourself up to speed and be really effective as we visit once again the business blueprints, all about how to set your business up as a speaker. So with that, how to become a better speaker, I did promise we'd go through it, and the landscape changes all the time, but speaking doesn't need to that much, but you do, to be relevant, because there's a lot of things that have happened. First of all, let's look at the fact that in terms of events around the world, there's less gigs available. A lot of venues have closed down, which makes it more difficult to be able to get a gig, but also there's lots more speakers. People have practiced talking online, Zoom, so on, so they've got a lot more confidence. You need to be a speaker if you're in a management position to talk to people all around the world. You need to be at least capable of talking to a virtual room full of people. If you're not doing that, then you will lose out on huge credibility, and that could financially backfire on you as well. So these are skills that I believe that you really need to have. All right, let's start off. First thing, be very creative with all the new tools available. That means you need to be able to do stuff like I'm doing right now. How do you do this? Well, contact me directly. I've got a load of stuff I can share with you. I've already talked at length about creating your own TV show, why you need to do it. But the very fact that I'm doing stuff like this right in front of you, and why the world needs TV, and all the fact that things happen and early benefits. These are all things that you should factor in when you start considering about why you need to be having your own TV show at least, or at least learning to use these platforms and tools, as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about using Clubhouse. All right, do hybrid gigs and get footage of them. Hybrid gigs, I will explain in a proper presentation later, and I'll show you some videos of the stuff I've done. I'll look through on my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, by the way, to my YouTube channel, because I've got tons of stuff on there that I don't share anywhere else. But hybrid is when you're actually presenting to people in front of you, but also to people online at the same time. And sometimes that means having a virtual panel and you're chatting to different people like that. Sometimes it means having a panel that's online and you've got an audience watching it. Sometimes you're interviewing people online who just zoom into your show, or they contact you and you're talking to them and interpreting. It's a really interesting new skill, and it's not a million miles away from being a proper TV presenter from the old days when they used to do TV, but it is a skill that everybody should really be thinking about. Getting footage is so important because these gigs take a lot more to arrange and organize, and so you need to prove that you are good at doing it with a social proof and certainty that goes into sales. If you don't show people this is what I can do, they won't know and they just won't think of you. All right. Number 3, stop doing what other people are doing. You need to stand out. What's your niche? What's your area? We've talked at length about the hedgehogs concept. If you watch my last show about how to find your mojo and to bring it back again, then it was all covered about your hedgehog, your ikigai, and all those different areas that you should examine. If not, Google hedgehog concept or ikigai, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you do what everyone else is doing, then it means that they can price you out the market by going cheaper. And it's really hard to be able to position yourself unless you're doing stuff that nobody else is doing, and then it's different. All right, next up, get super tech savvy. You don't have to actually become brilliant at doing this, but when it comes to editing your own videos and turning around things very quickly, it's useful if you are. You can hire somebody from Fiverr or Freelancer or any of these things to do a lot of the heavy lifting, editing, video production. Learning how to do video production is essential. If you haven't got that skill, then you really need to get it, because it's like a martial art in communication nowadays. All right, number 5, post and publish often and effectively. I understand that on LinkedIn they've got a special creator mode that they've created to make it even more effective when you're creating content, to position you through hashtags and keywords, so more people who are into your stuff can find you. Investigate that, but also make sure your stuff's out there. People want certainty, and they also want to know there's continuity. They want to know that if you're doing stuff on a regular basis and you're posting, then they can rely on you to be there. Otherwise, if they give you money and you say, I'm going to build them a house or something, and you don't come back for ages, they say, well, would you do that with my money if I invest in you? See what I mean? Okay, number 6, create a sales funnel that really works. Try it, test it. If you're not very good at them, get somebody else to build them for you. Again, Fiverr, Freelancer, there's loads of resources. I use Kajabi as well. My wife Aziza is brilliant at using that to be able to create a relationship on Kajabi, and then you can get your sales funnel so people come and join you, and it's really good to connect with people around the world, and you give them great stuff as well. So you got to do it the right way. Okay, number 7, broadcast, which is what I'm doing right now. Podcast, taking the audio, blogging, taking the transcription, network, make sure that you get out and connect with people, or even doing it online still means you're connecting with people, and mentor and consult. This is all the different areas of speaking. I can't tell you highly enough why speaking is so important, even as a side hustle. Because think about it. Here I am talking to you. This will also go into a podcast. I'll also be creating a blog out of it and lots of social media posts as we chop it all up and use it and other stuff. But it means that I can network with people, and they say, you're that guy from that show, and I can go along and share with them and help them create their own stuff. I do mentor through the Industry Icon program, where I help people all around the world to be very effective about creating their relationships and also position themselves as the very best in their market. If you haven't actually talked to me about the Industry Icon program, make sure you do. On this show, by the way, I will be interviewing industry icons in the next couple of days. People I've been working with who are the best in their industry that I've been helping to groom to get to a level where they were great anyway. But there's a few things, a few marketing tips, a few branding tips, a few speaking and opportunities that they hadn't thought of about marketing. With them, they get positioned as thought leaders and the best in their industry and their niche. So it's really important to think about that. And consulting with companies as well. As a speaker, it's really important to consider how you can relate to people after the keynote. So you should have an ongoing coaching consultation with the organization, not just a one-off, wham bam, thank you very much, I'm off, but for a whole year you should be looking to create that relationship with every single person that you do business with and deliver a keynote to. Next up, you should be doing this, building your brand, and of course that means social media. I mentioned podcasting and TV shows, but anything that gets your brand out there. Why is your brand important? Well, because now we're global. Now we're across the world. Seriously. I love your thoughts and comments, by the way. Keep them coming and let us know what you think about creating your brand. We'll do a session on branding soon. So good. Yum, yum, yum. Cheers, by the way. Branding is so important, but part of that whole branding process is really about your ability to go and do social media. That's so essential, especially with new social media being rolled out all the time. But doing your own TV show is probably one of the most effective ways of getting that know, like, and trust faster than most people could consider in what they do. Number 9, train others to be able to speak too. That's not only a great business to be in, but not just training other people to speak, training other people to market and use social media and using all these different things. There's enough people around the world for everybody. If you want to help others, then you're not going to say, oh no, they're going to take my stuff. They're not going to take your stuff. They're going to create their own stuff. It's stuff for everybody. If you're interested in this whole conversation, then I will share with you how you can take my Industry Icon program, the 5-day free mentoring course for free. That's why I said free. And you can start straight away. In fact, you can start today. I'll share with you before the end of today's show how you can do that and get yourself up on track, how to do TV, how to get your mindset right, how to do the hedgehog ikigai, and all the rest of it. It's over 5 days and you'll love it. About 10-15 minutes maximum, sometimes 5 minutes of watching a video every day, and then you'll be up to speed. And keep watching this show. And by the way, make sure you share this, make sure you like it. If you're watching it right now, it makes a huge impact to me if you can like it and share. And also make sure you connect with me on the different social media platforms. Subscribe, follow, whatever it takes, because every single day that I broadcast, I share some stuff that I'd never bring out again, because I think about it on the spur of the moment. I also prepare stuff, plus also at the time of broadcasting, there's new stuff that happens. So I want to be relevant and make sure that everybody who's involved in the stuff of watching the show gets something that really matters to them. And number 10, reconnect with decision makers all across the world. Before COVID, everyone went into lockdown. Now, the people that you were connected to, maybe you still carried on doing business. Some people went out of business, but you don't know what they're up to now. They may have a business that complements you because now they're doing it digitally. They may have turned around and said, right, I stopped doing that because the bottom fell out of the market. I'm doing this now. But the difference is they already know you, they like you, they trust you. And so they're the best possible people that you could be talking to about creating that relationship on an ongoing basis, because they've already worked specially with you, and so they know that you're quality and they'll recommend you to people. Does that make sense? Well, I'm going to make myself rather small now so you can see. In fact, I'll move I'll move away completely. There you go. I am the invisible man, only my words coming up to tell you that I still exist, which is kind of cool. So with this, get a snapshot of the screen or a screenshot so you can go back over it in your own time and work out how effective it could be for you. And we're going to teach you next and show you how you can move forward and become a very effective speaker for absolutely free when I share with you how to do the 5-day mentoring program. So here we are, that's me, and that's my screen. If you can see it now, that's great. If you can't see it, then that's what you do. You go to speakonstage.com, and if you're wondering who that is, look, it's me. It's still me, okay? That's what I look like from the side after lockdown of eating lots of pizza and so on. If you go to speakonstage.com, then you can see there's a couple of different options for you. And I'm getting busy now with training people, VIP mentoring. That's looking at what you specifically need to work on. The on-stage stuff about how to be an effective speaker, and the Industry Icon program, which I'll talk about at another later stage. In fact, you're going to meet some people from the Industry Icon program over the coming weeks. So with that, have a look at the side. The website, there's people have turned around and said, Dave, you're great. There you go. Prince Charles, Jim and Gary, my best friends in the world. So I hope this has been useful for you. I love your thoughts and your comments as always, because I try and share as much content as I can do. We're going to be having a look at a very powerful video to help you reinvent yourself and tell you what you really need to be thinking about to be very effective. And I love your comments, by the way. We're beaming out around the world, absolutely live. So if I go, blay! I really went blay at this moment in time. So with the video vault coming up next, I want to share with you what you need to be considering with your mindset. We love your thoughts, your comments. If you want to share with me anything, then make sure, if you don't do it during the show and on the broadcast, then you can send me direct messages, by the way. Just go to Speak on Stage and send me a direct message, or onto a social media platform. I tend to live on LinkedIn, by the way, more than anything, but I am available on all other stuff. I will see you on Clubhouse. I'd love to share some quality stuff with you there. If you're interested in starting your own TV show, then it will change your life, I promise you. But meanwhile, have an amazing day. I'd love to catch up with you, and I'm back next time. We're going to be looking about branding. In fact, we've got a lot of stuff lined up for you. We've got some incredible interviews with superstars like Michael Diedrich, and Professor Christian Farioli and Fons Trompenaars and lots of incredible people. If you like these people, then you'll be blown away. If you love them, it's going to be the best experience ever. And if you've never heard of them, it don't matter, because after you come back to this show, you will. Check out the YouTube, subscribe, have an amazing day, and learn to speak! Whoever you are, it will change your life, and it's probably the most effective thing that you'll ever do. Take care. Bye-bye.
This is your time. You worked very hard to get where you are, an inspiration to many, a mentor, a rainmaker, and a successful boss. But the one thing you've never done well is now the one skill you have to learn: public speaking. Great leaders throughout time have always shown their power from the stage. Now is the most essential ability for anybody to be seen as a change maker, industry expert, high achiever, or thought leader. Do you have a fear of public speaking? Are you missing out? Does your tribe need a chief executive officer who can command and motivate from on stage? Is your message getting lost because you need to be able to present from conferences, events, and global forums? My name is Dave Crane. I've worked on stage for over 4 decades. I've done every kind of entertainment, and I train leaders around the world to find their voice, realize their power, and dominate their industry. I've worked alongside some of the smartest names and most respected business coaches in the world. I train world leaders, industry experts, and high achievers to speak. What do you need? Do you need to share an idea, a theory, a formula, or an invention? Do you need to position yourself among the best of your peers as a key voice to lead into the digital age? Do you need to elevate and grow your personal brand? Are you ready to share stages and concepts among the most innovative minds, producing viral videos and great speeches on a global scale? Most leaders who are great communicators fail with a microphone because they don't know stagecraft. They don't know how to engage, entertain, and motivate large crowds. But when you do know how, it's just like breathing.